It's a Star Wars show, and I'm your host, John Justice, with something exciting for today's episode. I was over on the Reddit's leak page, and somebody went and posted 7 unused posters for The Rise of Skywalker. I have not hidden the fact that I absolutely love this movie. The Rise of Skywalker, for me, is a pure popcorn Star Wars film, and I find J.J. Abrams' movies, Star Wars or otherwise, to be incredibly rewatchable. That being said, one of the things about Star Wars that's awesome is the promotion around the movies when they come out. And it's kind of a bummer right now as we're into the holiday season and we don't have a Star Wars film to look forward to. The Rise of Skywalker, The Last Jedi, Rogue One, The Force Awakens, all of those films coming out around the holidays, they all give me the holiday vibe when I go and revisit them. And with the discovery of these unused promotional posters, I find myself wanting to go back and watch the films. So let me go ahead and run through these and share with you my thoughts. We start off with this first poster, and I'm a little bit surprised because there is not a companion poster for the light side, for the heroes of the film. If you're familiar with the posters that came out around The Rise of Skywalker, first off, there weren't nearly as many. The promotion around The Rise of Skywalker was, from my perspective, dramatically lessened than what we had seen for the previous 2 films, and certainly when it comes to the toys that were released afterwards, unfortunately. There were a series of posters that did come out, and this first poster here showing the villains of the story reminds me of 2 of the promotional posters that actually were used for the film. This one is more of a straight up Photoshop, where the other one had some more painting characteristics to it. That being said, I really, really dig this poster. And if you've studied any of the movie posters in the past, you'll find that a lot of times there are little subtle hints to things that were cut out of the film or were suggested but maybe never created for the film, since these promotional posters need to be created long before the film is actually finished. And so for this one specifically, what I found most interesting was, one, the Sith Eternal Star Destroyer it looks a bit different than the ones that actually appeared in the film. Looked to be more of almost a 1-to-1 of what we would typically have seen in the original trilogy, despite the modifications and specifically the planet-destroying cannon on the underbelly of the Star Destroyer. What's interesting about this Sith Eternal Star Destroyer is that when you look down at the bottom, there appears to be almost a half dome underneath this ship. Now, in the final version for the film, you do have, as other Star Destroyers do, have the smaller, almost quarter-sized dome underneath the ship. However, nothing as big as what we see at the bottom and underneath this particular Sith Eternal Star Destroyer. So perhaps there were some design changes, much in the same way that there were atmospheric changes to the finished version of The Rise of Skywalker. The original teaser trailer and the concept art actually showed, especially in the teaser trailer, that when the hero ships arrived from the Resistance, they were actually arriving to more of an amber hued sky than they did the more dense sort of blue that ended up appearing in the film. The other thing that I thought was interesting is the inclusion of Kylo Ren's shuttle in flight. As you see up there on the right-hand side, right about middle of the poster. Now, Kylo Ren's shuttle did appear in the film, but it was only on his command ship that was above Kijimi, and it was parked inside of the bay that they ended up landing on before the confrontation between Kylo Ren and Rey. So perhaps this shows that maybe his ship was going to be seen in action. If you go back far enough and remember some of the original promotional posters that were released, and even one of the die-cast toys for Kylo Ren's shuttle, it went through a pretty significant design change. Now, whether or not this was a mistake by those that made the poster and subsequently the toy in the details that they were given, Kylo Ren's ship appeared in that diecast, and I actually have it, and in a lot of the concept art as being white, and the wings were stuck upright. Whereas we know in the film that the wings fold out much like a bat and fold back in the film. So, and I have one of the original Black Series smaller scale diecasts in the white. Later on, they actually upgraded it to black, and they went and made it so the wings folded out. But I really dig this. All these posters are unique and pretty cool in their own right, but I really do dig this poster here quite a bit. So getting to the next poster that was released, this is a poster of Kylo Ren in shadow holding his reforged mask, and it reminds me a lot of the teaser posters that came out for Attack of the Clones that featured Padme, a really cool shot, and I love the way that they reconstructed the helmet and used the red adhesive. And, you know, it's been talked about quite a bit in why the helmet was reforged and the speculation that there was frustration by J.J. Abrams. I never saw confirmation of this, that he was upset Rian Johnson had destroyed it in the previous film and went and brought it back. But a cool poster of Kylo Ren nonetheless. Here we have some character posters that I like, but I can understand why they didn't end up using them. It just doesn't seem to go with any of the aesthetic in terms of the promotion of the film that we saw in previous, promotional materials and what we see in these unused posters for The Rise of Skywalker. Either way, they are cool nonetheless. But the color scheme and sort of the washed out and bold colors in the background, it's cool, but I don't know. It doesn't really work for me. Unlike the character posters for The Last Jedi, which I absolutely loved, and the ones that they used for The Force Awakens. So be that as it may, just interesting that they were considering going this route, but I can understand why they didn't. Here we have sort of a more typical character poster for The Rise of Skywalker featuring Rey. And one of the reasons why I'm convinced these are real is because several of the poses that we see in these posters, I have not seen in any other promotional material. So a lot of times, if you've seen fan-made posters, they'll take existing artwork and then just go and rework it. And it's pretty obvious that it ends up being a piece of fan art as opposed to something that was officially produced. So this pose of Rey, and in particular, if I go back and there's another shot, and actually it's used in the first poster as well. But I'll go back to the character poster here for just a moment. This character poster in the upper right-hand corner of Kylo Ren hasn't been used before. The one on the bottom left, by the way, of Poe Dameron, I have seen before, but the ones of Rey in this particular pose here, I aren't familiar to me. The only thing that I don't like about it is if you look close, all of the X-Wings in the background are actually Poe Dameron's second X-Wing fighter. You can see by the color markings on there. So there's no delineation between the ones in the poster. You know, most people wouldn't pick up on that, but I'm a stickler for stuff like that, and I don't like the fact that they ended up just basically cutting and pasting Kylo Ren's X-Wing on that poster. Here we have sort of the opposite one for Kylo Ren. Again, same pose that we saw in that initial poster, but clearly supposed to be a companion poster to the Rey Skywalker poster that I showed just a moment ago. But still, interesting, nonetheless. It doesn't seem quite finished to me. They do seem a little too photoshopped, especially with one that I'll show you here in just a moment. This one I like quite a bit, and a sequence that I really, really enjoy in this film that gives me the vibes of the pod race in The Phantom Menace. So I really like this poster. And again, an angle that we haven't seen in terms of the shots being used for this particular poster. This one here, and again, this makes me think that this was a concept that they ended up pitching off, because it doesn't look complete. It looks a little bit too photoshopped. And if somebody had shown me this poster all by itself without the inclusion of the other unused posters, I would have told you that this was something that was fan-made. But considering it was found in the same batch as the others, it looks like something that was being considered. But when you look at sort of the lighting here on the ship in the background, as compared to the characters, it just none of it really lines up very well. If they had gone and completed it, I think it would have been a really interesting poster. I found it kind of funny that Zori Bliss is back there in the corner. So, cool posters nonetheless. I think that that very first one, and I'll go back to it here. I think I like the most. It actually reminds me quite a bit of the Last Jedi poster, and I don't remember it looks to be gun turrets on the side of the Sith Eternal ship, and I don't recall seeing those in the movie. However, I'll have to go take a look. As I said, seeing these posters makes me want to go and actually watch the film, and I'm right now in the middle of a rewatch of Rogue One, and I may have to go and pop this in later on tonight or on my extended Thanksgiving vacation coming up. So, listen, I hope you enjoyed those. I really dug those posters, and it's kind of a rarity to see something get released this far out from the film, but a really interesting find nonetheless. Thanks so much for watching. And listen, you like Star Wars, if you like to read or listen to science fiction audiobooks, I've written a science fiction space opera series called Embark. You can see the book here off to my side and the poster there in the background. I wrote it out of my love of Star Wars. It is a science fiction space opera. It takes place in the year 2172, with the first book basically being our heroes and villains having to escape an industrial apocalypse on planet Earth as humanity then spreads out among the stars. And from book 2 on to book 7 turns into a sprawling space opera epic. Wrote it for adults, but it is completely age appropriate for children 11 and up. Head on over to Amazon.com and search for Embark and John J.O.N. Justice, and Kindle Unlimited, hardcover, paperback, and audiobook. And again, thank you so much for checking out this episode. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that alarm bell so you never miss an episode. I hope wherever you are, you're doing great, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.